Alrighty, let's do this again. This time I am answering the questions specifically about Wine Not the Brand. How much money it took you to start your wine business. It would be cool to know the difficult obstacles you had to overcome within your business and plans for the future, as well as how long it took you to get to where you are now. So I will say straight up, I stopped counting after about 60 grand. Investment into the wine business. So something that I found in the wine industry, which I was probably not prepared for because, obviously when you do something for the first time, you're experiencing everything for the first time, was that everything happened in cash. So there was no putting stuff on credit. There was no I'll pay it back piece by piece. It was like 9 grand cash to pay for grapes or to pay for winemaking or bottling or the labels or the boxes. Everything happened because of my first lot of wine with Wine Not the Brand. I got a contract wine made. So what that means is that you go to a vineyard who does contract winemaking and you say, I tasted all of their wines and I said, okay, I want this, but kind of like this. I want this, but like this. And I want this like this. And then what they say is, great, these are the grapes you have to buy. So we sourced the grapes and bought the grapes. Then when they get picked, you basically have to hustle for them because the best grapes go first. So if you have your cash up front, you can actually get the order of grapes that you need. From there, it goes into the winemaker's hands and they create the wine for you. And from there, everything happens in winemaking time. So from when you buy the grapes to when the wine is made to when it's put into barrels to when it's then bottled and it's then ready, it all just depends on the varietal that you have. So one thing that I learned along the way was that you have to have your system set up in advance. And that's something that I fucked up in a incredible way. Every single thing that I could have done wrong, I did. Nothing was on time in agriculture world. It's my first time playing in the agriculture world. It's my first time playing with a system like this. And I didn't realize the impact of missing a deadline for labels or for boxes or figuring out where to store my wine even. I was so incredibly inexperienced in figuring all of it out that I just had to keep putting down more money to get pieces slotted in when I was ready instead of putting it into the machine and letting it all roll out. So usually the way that these processes work is, let's say there's a vineyard, which is great because they don't really need to get their own grapes. They usually use their own grapes. They might source little bits and pieces. Then what would happen is as they create their wine, they've already got their boxes, their labels ready, and they already have either their own bottling plant, or in Canberra what we did is there's a bottling plant that sort of comes on a truck twice in the year, and they do all the bottling there. So what would happen is that you're ready for all that. So when your wine is ready to be bottled, the bottling truck has dates that they go to all the different vineyards in Canberra. They would put your wine into the bottle at the same time. You would have your labels ready, so that goes on at the same time. It's all put together. And then from there, it goes on the little thing on the conveyor belt into boxes, it's boxed. And then from there, it goes straight into storage and it's ready to be sold. So it sounds like a simple process, but when you either don't have your labels ready, or the top of the bottle caps hasn't showed up, or the boxes have just gone missing, or you don't know where you're going to store it, all those things happened to me and impacted things. So instead of it becoming a one-day process, my wine was bottled and then it didn't have labels. So some of it went straight into boxes, which I then had to send to Orange because we work with Wangarang, who hires people with disabilities to do the labeling and boxing. So I was adamant that I wanted to do good through the process of creating this company. So half of I think it was the red or the white, one of them was boxed but not labeled. So it went to Wangarang. They had to unbox everything, label everything, and rebox everything, and then send it back to me. Then there was another one, which I think we had the labels. No, none of them were labeled at the time of bottling. So it must have been, we didn't have the boxes or the labels. I can't remember, but it was just a holy shit show. It was an absolute mess. My wine went from Canberra to Sydney to Canberra to Orange to Canberra, which every time it cost me thousands of dollars to transport wine because it's incredibly heavy and you need to wait for space on trucks and just all of this logistical stuff, which I just simply was not prepared for. I figured it out in the end, but it was an absolute mess. But every single time that I had to touch that wine again and it wasn't a part of the system, added extra money onto it. Then on top of it, there's licensing, which is expensive. Keeping it in a cool room, which is insured and cold, is expensive. I learned that the hard way. That was one of my challenges. I almost lost all of my wine as I stored it in a friend's warehouse in Canberra, which was cold when I went in there and put the wine in there. And then there was a heat wave in Canberra. And so the day that the heat wave struck, I had to haul ass, organize for somebody to come pick up the wine and move it to a storage unit. So that was scary. That was almost my entire, all my work gone. But things like that always added money. But yeah, I think I probably stopped. I had a spreadsheet and I just stopped keeping track after I think it was about 60 grand. So I don't know. I actually don't know how much I put into it. But the way that I kind of look at it is this. If you went to university to learn how to start a wine brand, you would have paid probably 60 grand. I don't know. I didn't go to uni. But I assume you would pay around that to learn how to create a wine brand, but then come out with nothing. Whereas I've just kind of like gone into the deep end and figured it all out and made a shitload of mistakes and spent a lot of money. However, I'm not in debt because I paid for everything in cash. And I've actually come out with a product and I've come out with experience that I never, ever, ever, ever could have got from uni. So even the fact that all the things that I've gone through in business with business partners and making wrong decisions and learning things the hard way, I'm grateful that I've learned. It has taken a really long time. I think I started this brand in, I think it's October 2016. So we're 4 years on now and we've got one whole lot of wine out and I'm moving on to my next round. But I still wouldn't say that my system is perfect. I'm still not able to ship individual bottles of wine, which is a ginormous pain in my ass. I still have all of my wine stored in Canberra and I now live on the Gold Coast. I have an ACT liquor license, but not a Queensland one. So I can't do events here. I can't do tastings. I'm very restricted in what I can physically do. I've got like all these boxes in my storage unit in Canberra, which I don't know if I'm going to use because it's not relevant for my next product. Like there's just so much that I haven't figured out yet. And it's going to take me a while to figure it out. And unfortunately, there is no fast way to do it, but just to step through each thing day by day. And the challenge that I have, I mean, there's a lot of fucking challenges, but one of the major ones is that this is not my only business. I have another business which could be a full-time job. I work with literally hundreds and hundreds of people and I lead hundreds of people in that business. So it requires me to be on the ball and attentive. It requires a lot of emotional energy from me. It's sales as well. So it requires me to read the room, to redirect the team, to figure out what's the next event for the month, to be really tapped in, watch what's happening on social media. Like that business requires an immense amount of energy from me because I care and I want to do it well. So this business being a startup is in innovation mode. Like it's constantly in innovation mode. I'm constantly having to figure out, where do I source my logistics? Who's going to deliver my wine? If somebody doesn't receive their wine, I can't do a fucking thing about it, but call and hope that somebody on the other end picks up, which sometimes they don't. Like there's such an incredible amount of control that you lose when you go into the online space and you're not doing everything yourself. But at the same time, my goal is to find a way to be able to do just what I'm good at, which is not logistics. Like what I'm good at is the branding, it's the creativity, it's thinking of the marketing ideas. But when it comes to like website design and where the fuck are my boxes and how do I send 3 bottles of wine instead of 6? Like I'm not good at that stuff. So it requires an immense amount of time and energy. And I'm only just getting into the position where I can afford to buy resources. Like I can afford to hire people to do my social media or to do my marketing or to do my website, and leaning into that more has been challenging because I like control. I like to be able to do it all myself. But it's also been probably one of the smartest things I've been able to do is start to outsource and start to give those things to people who actually know what they're doing and take a step back and allow myself the time and the energy to regroup and reground myself and follow the next thing. So it is definitely a transition. I think we've definitely gone off topic, but let's find out what the question actually was. How much money it took to start, the difficult obstacles you had to overcome within your business, so many. When I started this business, I started with a business partner and he was a wine consultant, like wine sales, wine consultant. He's been in the wine industry for ages, super knowledgeable, very passionate. And originally I had the balls to start this business because I was partnered with him. So his job was to do all the logistics side of things, the sourcing of the wine, the storage, the transport, all the shit that I struggle with. That's why I started, because I had him to lean on. Things didn't work out with us. So it meant that I then took on the responsibility of the entire thing. And that was really hard. Like, firstly, it was hard emotionally because I really cared for this person. I thought in my head, I was like, we're doing this together. It's going to be amazing. And when things don't work out that way, it's hard because you doubt yourself. So I doubted my trust for people. I doubted my ability to choose the right people to bring into my world. I don't do threats very well. If somebody threatens me, I'm a Taurus and a Hungarian. So as soon as somebody threatens me, like, my eyes roll back and I'm like, nah. No, because I put so much love and trust into people. As soon as anything comes back at me and I feel taken advantage of, it's like my trigger. Straight away, I'm not happy about it. I shut right down all my emotions. Gone, cut. So that was really, really challenging. Moving on from that, and then finding ways to learn how to do the things that you need to know to run a wine business. I learned to ask a lot of questions. I asked everybody for help. I called liquor licensing and I wore them down to a point where I had a better relationship with them, so I could ask them help. I was like, here's what I want to achieve. Help me reverse engineer it and figure out how to do that. And that was a massive help. ACT Liquor Licensing is absolutely amazing, and they were incredibly helpful in the end. And I'm so grateful for them picking up the phone and responding to my emails. And now Queensland Liquor is not looking that way. So I'm going to have to figure out how to move past that challenge of not having that relationship with that body anymore, and figuring out how to build a relationship or how to work my way around that. So that's a challenge. It's the business partner, the money, almost losing my wine, liquor licensing, logistics. I think I had a notebook actually at one stage, and I wrote down all the things that worked out and then all the things that didn't. And then I converted it to a ratio. I think it was something like, for every one thing that worked out, 9 things went wrong. So it was 1 to 6 or 1 to 9. It was something like that. So every one success that I've had, like achieving my liquor license, like 6 things have gone horribly fucking wrong. So yeah, that's the process of learning, and that's the reality, and I'm not mad about it. It is what it is. I'm enjoying the process. Hopefully one day it's not going to be such a freaking struggle. But yeah, I learned to ask for help. So calling vineyards, sourcing wine, just asking for help, telling people that you're new. And most of the time people don't write back to me. I remember being so stressed out with the whole thing that I just shut off and went to take a bath. I had a bottle of wine. I was in the bath. I was like, I am going to relax. And of course, as soon as you relax, all the ideas and inspiration hits you. So I got my phone out and I started emailing different companies from the bath, naked, that's inspired, and asking for help. I was like, this is what I'm trying to achieve. Do you do this? Can I buy this from you? What do you know? Da, 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 da. And I probably sent about 30 emails, and I got maybe 3 back. But out of those 3, 1 guy was particularly helpful. And our next little skew of wine is coming because of that relationship. So, and he's also probably the only person that's helping me achieve the next little piece of the business. So the next product is very different to what we have right now. And I need help to source it because I don't have any relationships with vineyards, and I want to do things well. Ideally, in a perfect world, here's what would happen. In a perfect world, I would be able to connect with the vineyards that were smoke tainted. So remember how there was all the bushfires in Australia and it burned down a lot of vineyards. So what I wanted to do is find vineyards who needed help and support. So they already had their wine all stored. It was safe. It wasn't smoke tainted. And people that were struggling perhaps to sell online, or they had an old traditional business that just had all of this stock and couldn't get rid of it. What I wanted to do was to find those vineyards, approach them, and bottle their wine in the way that I want it for my brand, so I can support them. I know that I've done something good. I have a good product that I can trust, and then I can move forward with my business. But no one freaking replies to emails. It's driving me crazy. I want to do good, damn it. But instead, this particular product that I'm looking for, the only consistent business or company brand that I found is a wine distributor. They're not a brand. They don't have vineyards. So I've emailed them and they've come back saying your idea sounds great, let's talk more. But now I don't know what to do because I don't want to pitch them my idea because I don't want to be like totally rolled, but I need help finding my product. So like these are the things that happen on a daily basis for difficult obstacles, as your question said, that I've had to overcome. What else? This is fun. This is like Struggle Town with Kata. Hey! Here's another good one for you. So another challenge that I've recently had to overcome is the fact that I want to do good with this brand. I'm not selling alcohol to destroy lives. I'm selling wine because I believe from my own experience that some of the deepest, most important conversations that I have ever had have not come from social media or from a boardroom or from an inspiring freaking Instagram post. The most important conversations that I have ever had and continue to have usually happen on my kitchen floor, a bottle of wine deep with my best friend, my partner, my sister. Those conversations have been life-changing for me. And wine for me, the most important conversations that I've had in my life have been had over a bottle of wine or a glass of wine. There we go. Let's keep it at that. And I want this brand to do good for the world. I'm not in this business just to make money. Yes, I want to make money, but I want to do it in a way that gives back and contributes. So using Wangarang for my labeling and boxing was the first step. It was a very, very small step, and I hope that I can find a way to continue to support that community and that business because they're absolutely phenomenal. I remember going there and meeting the workers, meeting the managers. They're just such a beautiful family of people and I just love them so much and I want to continue to work with them and support them. But that's not enough for me. We used paper labels on the bottles because they're not plastic. And unfortunately, they all freaking soak off as soon as you put them in ice. So I'm going to have to find a way around that. But every decision that I've made has been thoughtful and considered. And the next step for me was finding a charity to partner with, to contribute to, somebody that also valued communication and valued taking care of one another and was open-minded enough to not poo-poo our business so quickly. But unfortunately, every website that I read, every single time that I found a company that I was like, yeah, this is the charity that I want to support, there was something against alcohol. And I was like, fuck me, like this is not, I understand it, but I'm also frustrated because I think to create change, you have to do things differently. So the one company that I decided in the end was the one that I wanted to approach. It was Are You OK Day. They're all about communication and collaboration and talking things out, which is exactly the reason that I have this entire brand. They weren't able to accept our donations either. So that's been another challenge where I'm stuck and I'm unsure how to continue to give back in this business, whether it's going to come from my sourcing, whether it's going to come from the production line, whether it's going to come from giving a percentage of profits. I'm not sure, but that's another challenge that I'm sort of working through at the moment. What else? And then just being an alcohol brand is a challenge in itself. People are really angry at alcohol brands because they've lost somebody to drink driving or whatever it is, and stepping into that world is fucking scary. It really is. And I'm just going to have to rely on the fact that people get to know us and our brand and understand our values and hopefully understand the intention of this business, which I know when the world is angry, it's really difficult to see somebody else's side of things. So I'm fully prepared to go through that piece of being in an alcohol business. But there's so many. I approached, I think it was Vino Mofo, wanting to work with them originally, and they were so lovely, so friendly, such a cool team. But their piece of advice was, show us you can sell wine and then come back to us. So it's kind of like the chicken or the egg, like what comes first? How do you prove results without anyone sort of having your back? But people aren't going to jump on board unless you show results. Same thing with purchasing wine. They don't take me seriously. I've had companies just straight not write back to me. Labeling companies who just don't take me seriously because I don't have enough inventory. I'm not giving them thousands and thousands and thousands of bottles of wine, so they don't take me seriously. But how do you get that big when no one takes a chance on you? So it's a really frustrating process, but one I'm sure that I will figure out and I will master. I don't have a background in wine. I don't have a family vineyard. I'm figuring it out step by step, and it's been a really interesting process. So plans for the future without giving too much away. I have a brand new product line coming out once I get the logistics of it sorted. The goal is to get it ready for end of November, early December, because it's going to be very giftable. Very, very, very giftable. The range comes after I did some research and did some questioning. What's the word? A questionnaire? Yeah, I sent out a questionnaire about how you guys choose wine. Is it the flavor? Is it the label? Is it the cost? Is it the taste? Is it the whatever? And I put together the top 5 things that you guys came back with, and there were hundreds of respondents. So it's actually like, it's legit data, which I'm grateful for. And the next range that I'm releasing is custom built based on the research, which is so me. So I've completely changed everything, and I hope you guys love it. So cross your fingers that I can actually source everything that I need to make it work. But yeah. And how long it took you to get to where you are now? October 2016 to October 2020. 4 years to get to this point, and I feel like I haven't even gotten started yet. So that's it for today. Hopefully that's interesting for you. I'll continue to take questions. Again, I'll figure out what I want to do with the comments. If the comments are nice and productive and there are great questions there, I will keep them on. If they start to get mean or nasty, I just can't. So I will shut them off. So you guys get to control whether you have that access to me by how you behave in the comments. So please keep it clean. Keep it lovely, keep it nice, keep it productive, and I will continue to be able to have these conversations with you. So, hope you're having a great day.